Good morning, everybody. I can't say YouTubers anymore because this is going up on YouTube, it's going up on Rumble, and it's going up on X at the same time. Although YouTube play games sometimes, so if you're on YouTube, you might not see this video for about 3 days until it's been approved. Anyway, that's YouTube's problem, not mine. Sorry about that light in the background. I've got these towels blocking the sun, trying to make the picture better because it's giving a bit dazzlified. Anyway, I've just been watching Andy the Gabby Cabby, and he's been talking about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits that they've got in Wales, and they're slowing everybody down and everyone's up in arms and crying about it. Well, it's all part, I think, of a bigger plan, because as I'm looking, I'm trying to analyse what the government's doing. Now, if you wind the clock back to the days when they just invented the railways, okay, the British invented the railways. I think the first railway ran from Liverpool to Manchester, and from the Rocket. It was called, the place is called the Rocket to this day, after the train, which was the Rocket. Anyway, they thought, marvellous, this is great, we can put freight on these trains, whoosh, and we can be in Manchester in 45 minutes or however long it took to get there at the time. And so they had this plan to build railways all over the country so that people could move and goods could move, which was a great idea. But then something dawned on them. They thought, well, hang on a minute. All these villages, all these poor people in the villages, all of a sudden there's a train station in their village. And that means that they can jump on the train and they can go travelling about the country, instead of staying in their little village, in their little community, as they'd always done, go all the way back into medieval times. People very rarely ventured away from their village, maybe to the next village, but people, unless your job was driving a stagecoach or something like that, or driving a horse and cart, delivering stuff, I mean, people just didn't go anywhere. Very rare. People didn't go on holidays until the trains came along, really. All of a sudden, you've got a train, it'll take you to Blackpool. We think, great, we're going to the seaside. And so the seaside holidays and sit on deck chairs with hankies on your head, that didn't come along until the Victorian days, when the trains came along. And people were very concerned that poor people were moving around and they'd be thieving and doing all kinds of things. Anyway, getting back to this 15-minute city thoughts that people were talking about earlier, they were thinking, well, everything should be within 15 minutes. So you don't need to go out of your zone, do you? You just stay in. They're trying to encourage people to stay in their zones. They're not actually going to stop you from going to Scotland. If you live in London and you want to go to Scotland, then they can't stop you. But they can make it more difficult for you to get there. For example, they can give you an electric car. Okay, so your range is limited. What have you got, 100 miles? How far are you going? You're not even going to get to Birmingham, are you? And then your car's going to need a recharge. So you're going to finish up pulling up at Oxford services, and you join the queue for the wire to charge you up. So you're like this, oh my God. So unless they start putting cars on the train, so you say, I'm going to Scotland, I'm going to put my car on the train off to Scotland, and then you can all drive off the train and then you're in Scotland. That's the only feasible way they could do it, because at the moment you just jump in, you get your stuff together, jump in the car, go. When your car needs refueling, you just pull up at the services, fill it up and carry on. But that's not how it works with electric cars. Electric cars will hinder you in your travels. I don't know how trucks are going to get on, because unless they beef up the railway system dramatically, everyone's going to be stuck within a limited range. It's going to be very difficult for you in your electric car, for example, to go from London to Scotland. If I want to go to Inverness, how long is it going to take me to get to Inverness if I've got to queue up for all these wires to charge the battery? Even in a fast charge battery, it might take 20 minutes a car. There could be 10 cars in front of me, and then they're going to try and bring it back to this 15-minute. The 15-minute cities hasn't gone away. They say, oh, well, we've dumped those plans. They haven't. Not at all. They're just trying a different way to achieve it. So you can still be in your 15-minute city. You can still go to Scotland in your electric car, but it's going to be an arduous journey if you can't put your car on the train, unless you just leave the car behind and go on the train anyway. That's another option, of course. But when you get to Inverness, you haven't got any transport. So you've got to spend more money renting something to get about, and it's just all part of the plan. And like I said, with the introduction of cash-free society, they want a little card, so you go around spending with your card, and then they might say, well, you can't spend outside your zone. So you get to Inverness, you put your card in the machine to buy something, and no, not gone through. Then now what are you going to do? You know, you're losing control all the time. They're not taking away your freedom, but they're just restricting you, making it more difficult. And like I said, unless they do something with the railways and they allow you to put cars or electric scooters, or I can see electric scooters being very popular. You know, the little scooters just for getting about. I can see them being, because they've got loads here in Gibraltar. Little scooters, just petrol ones, 2 strokes, 4 strokes, and now the electric ones are coming in. They're great. They're great for small journeys. They're actually better, I think, than an electric car, because they're quite heavy, aren't they? And at least if your scooter bursts into flames, you can jump off and let it burn in the road. Sitting there, I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen to people on YouTube and on the internet. I've seen videos of it. And I've always said electric cars are useless. They're too heavy, they don't have any range, and they take too long to charge up unless you've got an infrastructure that will allow you to charge them up quickly. Because let's face it, you know, when you go to the gas station, you pull up, you fill the car up, hang the pump up, go and pay for it, come back. How long does that take? 5 minutes maybe. Doesn't take long, does it? But if you've got to wait 20 minutes to an hour for your car to charge up and you're in a queue, you need a lot of banks for people to pull in and charge up, and then you've got to have cafes for them to sit in while they're waiting and things like this. And it doesn't make any sense, because there's probably a diesel generator in the background burning fossil fuel to make electricity to charge the cars back up. So it doesn't make any sense at all. I think scooters are the way forward, little electric scooters, because you can put them on a train easy enough when you want to go to Inverness, but then it might be raining when you get there. So all the time all these ideas are to confine you, to get you to stay indoors and not go anywhere. You know, loads of people want to go to the Lake District. I'm going to the Lake District, I'm going walking, you can't stop you, sorry, they can't stop you, you're off, you've done it, you're there. But they can make things more and more difficult by putting their prices up and discouraging you from moving about, because they don't want people moving about. Roads are all too congested, roads cost so much to maintain, so that the theory is get everyone to stay where they are, and discourage people from moving around, going to the seaside at the weekend and doing all these activities. That all they're just trying to do is just restrict you. They're not taking your freedom away, they're just restricting your options, making it more difficult. That's what I think. What do you think? I'll be very interested to hear what you've got to say. And Andy the Gabby Cabby, I'm giving him a shout out because he's a very good channel. He covers lots of things. Now then, Andy, see you in the next one.